And here comes mass lockdown round 2. Surprisingly, just after the election. Isn't that weird? They started to ease up on the lockdowns as we entered election season. Go out and vote, they said. Don't trust the mail-in ballots. And now, just after the election, New York and New Jersey and many other states are announcing they're going to be locking down. I actually just found out, someone came to me and said, hey, they're going to be locking down in New Jersey soon. And I didn't believe it. Here we go. It's happening all over again. Lockdown fears for New Yorkers after Governor Cuomo orders all gyms, bars, and restaurants to shut by 10 p.m. across the state as COVID-19 positivity rate jumps to 2.9%. From NJ.com, New Jersey bars, restaurants must close indoor service by 10 p.m. under new COVID-19 restrictions, Governor Murphy to announce. That's what you get. Joe Biden is the candidate of the lockdown. Donald Trump was the candidate of opening back up. But the governors have the ultimate say in their states. And now here we go. They say, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has ordered that all bars and restaurants across the state must close at 10 p.m. starting from Friday in an effort to stave off the second wave of COVID. He is also limiting gatherings in private residences to 10 people and say he may reduce the capacity restaurants and bars can have indoors if numbers continue. The statewide COVID-19 rate increased to 2.9%, which is the highest it has been for months, and deaths are increasing in some parts of the state, but not all. In New York City, deaths have been holding steady, as have hospitalizations despite the rising infection rate. But Cuomo on Wednesday issued an order for the entire state and said anyone who doesn't comply with it will receive a summons ordering them to shut down. Losing money hurts, but money can be replaced. Losing a loved one is forever. If the lights are on and people are drinking, they get summons, he said. It delivers yet another blow to the restaurant and bar industry, which was only allowed to resume indoor dining at a 25% capacity last month after being ignored for months. My friends, I understand there's a major spike. We got huge news that in Pennsylvania, they got a massive number of people getting COVID, but they're saying the hospitalization rate is remaining steady. I do not believe lockdowns make sense, and I'm basing this off of the World Health Organization, who said lockdowns are a last resort and we should not be doing them. But here we go. It's happening. Another lockdown. Let me ask you something. When you read those novels, those books about a dystopian future, when you read 1984 or Animal Farm or Brave New World or Fahrenheit 451, did you think that the authoritarian regimes, whether it be the corporation, whether it be the government, would have no excuse? Did you think that when authoritarianism came to your home, you would clearly identify it as being an obstruction of our freedom and rights? Did you think that when they tried to seize power, you would say, hey, wait a minute, they're seizing power? Well, you'd be wrong. They always have an excuse. I mean, in each and every one of these stories, they have an excuse. Take V for Vendetta, for instance. What was their excuse? In this dystopian graphic novel and film, the excuse was a virus. The St. Mary's virus, they called it. And it was so dangerous that you needed the government to protect you. And now that's what's happening. But it's not the right thing. We can certainly take protective measures to stop spikes in COVID and guard people from, the vulnerable without destroying our economies and destroying essentially our standard of living. But that is what's happening. And nothing will be done about it, I guess. I don't know what you do. Do you defy the lockdowns? I mean, I guess you leave New York and New Jersey. Joe Biden said we're in for a dark winter. That's what he called it. A dark winter. What does that mean? I believe, assuming Joe Biden gets inaugurated on the 20th, he is going to lock this country down with a nationwide mandate, and it'll be worse than anyone has seen. And it makes me really worried now. I see what the Democrats are doing. It's a combination of changing the election rules, mail-in ballots. I see them now locking down the states once again. And my friends, it is despotism. Okay, it's not despotism, literally, because there's not like one person. But it is some kind of freakish authoritarian edict going on. They changed the rules to win an election. It worked for them. They ease the lockdown before the election, tell everyone go to vote in person, then they do. Then they come back and say, okay, time to lock down again. It's crazy. And sure, maybe it all correlates. I can already hear the leftists saying, well, duh, this spike is due to the election. You see, we shouldn't have done it. We should have done mail-in voting. Fine. But the UN has already said not to lock down. Why are they doing it? And what does it mean for the rest of us? I don't know, man. But this is why, I still do live in Jersey, but we've been setting up the new studio with this last month, with the election coming up. I decided to stay away from this area, notably because I had received threats. Someone had tried to break into my house previously. And I'm like, I don't want to be around here when there's violence because people can find out where I live. So went out to the middle of nowhere for the time being, and probably will, move officially soon, depending on what happens. But with this lockdown, it probably will be sooner than I realized. They're locking down in New Jersey again, same as New York. I mean, New Jersey and New York being next to each other, it's, not uncommon to see. They act kind of in concert. Here's what New Jersey says. Murphy will announce the new restrictions Monday during his 1 p.m. COVID-19 briefing in Trenton, which was the other day. An official with knowledge of the announcement told NJ Advanced Media. The latest round of restrictions were first reported on NJ.com's exclusive text messaging service. They're doing an ad. I'm not going to read it. We'll tweak some of the rules of the road, Murphy said during a morning interview. This is not where we were in the spring when we were shutting the whole place down. Yes, it's just the beginning. I was told that they're going to be doing phases, and this is just the beginning. That eventually they will start to increase the amount of lockdowns. But I tell you this. I ask you this. If the lockdowns didn't work the first time, why are we doing it again? We locked down before the peak period, and we still had people getting sick. That now we're locking down again, it's not going to do anything. And that's why the World Health Organization, and it was a WHO and UN doctor who said, don't do this. Here we go, baby. I hope everybody who voted for Joe Biden recognizes they voted for this. He said he wanted to do it. He's a Democrat. And this is what I explain to people when they say, Tim, the riots are Trump's America. If we vote for Joe Biden, it won't be, then it'll all stop, I guess. What do you think the rioters are going to stop because Joe Biden won? That's ridiculous. But I bring this up for a reason. A lot of people thought all of these problems were due to Trump. And if we just vote for somebody else, it'll get better. It's not going to get better. Why? It makes no sense. The dark winter is coming, says Joe Biden. And they're not going to stop no matter who's the president. No, in fact, as the Republicans resisted the lockdowns and Donald Trump sought to end the riots and did deputize many police so they can go and arrest these rioters and actually charge them, the Democrats were locking down their states and letting these rioters go. So you know what you get with Joe Biden? Joe Biden will call for a national lockdown. I'm sure some people are cheering for it, but let me ask you, I'll say it again. Did you think that the authoritarianism would just show up one day unannounced with no reason? No, of course not. They were always going to have a reason why they needed absolute authority over what's going on in this country. And now they've got it. They got the pandemic. I think it's serious. I think the pandemic is an issue. I know people who have been personally affected, and I hear the stories, and it's terrifying. But there's got to be a balance, right? We can't just say, give the government all the power, shut everything down. Let's not stop working. But of course, that's what's happening. So I don't know. Look, I'm not gonna make any ridiculous predictions and just say, that they're gonna lock us down for 7 months and then they're gonna demand papers or anything like that. But they're doing it in France. What I'll say is, Joe Biden said he's the candidate of lockdowns. Okay, no. I'm sorry. Trump said Joe Biden is the candidate of lockdowns. That's what I meant to say. Joe Biden said to listen to the scientists. Scientists say we need more lockdowns and a mask mandate. Joe Biden said he'll call for a mask mandate. How do you do that? I guess everyone will start doing it just because the president-elect or the new president will say so. But this will be the end of our economy for quite some time. I mean, these restrictions that Cuomo and Murphy are already putting down, it's going to be devastating. I can only imagine it's only a matter of time for you and your state. Now, see, here's the problem. Here's the problem with a Trump presidency for I guess these people and their ideology. The Republicans weren't going to lock down. They didn't. People held a parade for Kristi Noem in South Dakota because she resisted, and everything was, for the most part, fine. Now with the Joe Biden as president, he's going to probably use war powers or something to mandate some kind of national lockdown, thus forcing all of the Republican states in line as well. Now, look, I really don't think it's going to work out, actually, because I think in several states like Michigan and Pennsylvania, the lockdowns were ruled unconstitutional. So I don't know what Joe Biden will be able to do because these standings are in the lower courts and then someone will sue and it'll go to the higher court. Maybe Supreme Court's going to be like, get out of here. We got, Trump was able to put on 3 Supreme Court justices. Or maybe everybody locks down. Europe's doing it, and there are riots going off in Prague, in Paris, in Italy, in the UK. People are rioting over this stuff. In France, you can't leave your home without your papers. No joke, not an exaggeration. I don't know to what extent it's going to come to the U.S., but we already had it one time. 15 days to slow the spread, they said. It feels like they are trying to bottle us up to make us extremely angry. And I wonder, think about it this way. What do you think is going to happen if you take a whole bunch of urban liberals and you put them in cubicle apartments and you tell them they can't go outside like they were doing the lockdown? In a month from now, the Supreme Court rules that Trump actually won. What do you think these people are going to do? They are going to explode. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it does feel like the pieces are at least being lined up, whether, on purpose or otherwise, and it's a recipe for disaster. I guess we'll just wait and see. I hope you're all taking your precautions for the coming lockdowns, because it seems they are. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all next time.